Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our Mindfulness Hour. So, today, Saturday morning here in Singapore, it's our time to spend 1 hour together doing some mindfulness practice. What we're really doing here is we're wrapping up open awareness. So, today's practice is going to be a long open awareness practice. We'll start with awareness of body, move to awareness of sounds, move to awareness of thoughts, and then we'll bring it all together. So, actually, after awareness of thoughts, we'll also be including awareness of emotions. And as we observe all of that together, that is the experience of open awareness. I'll give a little bit more instruction as we get closer to the time our meditation starts. I hope you enjoy the 1 hour practice. I think enjoy may not be the right word. The 1 hour practice can be harder, and it is often harder than the 10-15 minute practice. So I would encourage you today to start by setting your intention. Why am I here? What is it that brings me to this practice? Why am I trying to practice today? There's some reason that you're here, some reason that you want to do this practice. And I think maybe a lot of us it's simple, right? It's not some giant thing that we're trying to solve. Something simple as I would like to have more peace in my life. And so I think the warning the warning for the meditation is that who knows how the meditation goes. And is it possible for you to let go of your expectations of what you hope happens during the meditation? I think that's relatively important. What comes after the meditation, now that this is kind of where the intentions are linked. So I find that when I meditate, sometimes I have a meditation where my mind is clear, but more often than not, I have a meditation where my mind is wandering a lot, and I feel at the end of the meditation, what good was that? Or maybe I should do it again. But what I usually discover is that no matter how good or bad I judge that meditation to be, that there is some effect that I notice coming out the other end of the meditation. That I find that I encounter my life in a different way, and a lot of it has to do with awareness. That I find that my awareness is different at the end of the meditation, no matter how good or bad the meditation is. As long as I have this intention when I start to really be my strongest, most determined self, to try. Well, you know what, and this is the other thing. As I say that, also want to acknowledge the non-striving aspect. So intending to stay focused without this kind of harsh grip on myself, because this was the old, the early beginner meditator Ryan. That when I began meditating, that I was like it was like winning a race, or running a race and trying to be first. I thought there was some prize at the end. That like the more still I sat, the more the harsher I could be on myself to stay focused, the better the meditation would go. And I think that I've discovered through time and through practice that this is not the ideal way to meditate, that there really is a balance. So I do encourage you to come to the meditation with that intention to be focused, intention to be determined and strong, but to do so without any additional harshness. You shouldn't be sitting in excruciating pain. I will encourage you to stay still throughout this meditation, but if you find that the discomfort is moving into the realm of pain, or numbness becomes so uncomfortable that you need to move, then move. But is it possible to move with mindfulness? So not to move mindlessly, to be mindful in every part of our meditation, so to do everything with intention, including movement. And speaking of movement, I am, the last session that we did was on stillness. So you can kind of review that. The videos are still available on YouTube if you want to practice stillness more. So there is some benefit in staying still in our meditation, and so we'll encourage you to stay as still as possible as we do this meditation. And yesterday my son had he has a bump on his foot, so we had an MRI just to see what it is, but this was kind of linking back into the practice of stillness. It's like, hey buddy, can you stay still in the MRI? You move and we have to start the MRI over. And what does that do, right? When I say those words, does that pressurize him to make it harder to move because he knows he can't move? What's going on inside of his mind as we think of that? And then I try to remind him. I'm like, hey, you can focus on your breath. Focusing on your breath. I can see he wants to, it's at the right foot that's scanned. I can see his fingers are moving and the toes in the left foot are moving. And it's like, I don't know, you want to fidget and move everything except for the thing that can't move. And then even then it's like, is all of this fidgeting making it worse? And, as I'm watching him, I'm imagining myself and going, if it were me and I were fidgeting every part of my body except for the part that can't move, I think that would just be kind of torturous, that I would really want to move that part. And so, I don't know, I sat next to him in stillness myself, maybe to, and I put both hands on him. So, the upper half of his body was outside the MRI machine, and the lower half is in. So I've got my hands there, and I'm trying my best as well to remain still and to remain calm and to kind of, tap into his empathy to detect that stillness and that calmness in me, and hopefully some of that kind of washes over onto him. The end of the story is that we ended up quite successfully making it through the MRI, and he did move a little bit, but good opportunity to practice mindfulness, I think, anytime we're at the doctor's office in the scanner. Okay. MRIs are, I don't know, are MRIs hard? I'll tell you what, when I heard the sound of the MRI in that room with him, I was like, man, it just makes me want to sleep. I kind of, that loud sound, that rhythmic loud sound just kind of makes me feel really sleepy. So there's a part of me that I kind of like it, Also, it gives me an opportunity to really check out, right? No phone is allowed in that room. Lets me have time to practice being mindful, to know that I've got nothing else that I have to focus on. So I don't know. I don't need another MRI, but if I do, I think I'm gonna take that time to kind of rest and enjoy being by myself. Speaking of which, my retreat is coming up, so I'm gonna enjoy being by myself for 11 days coming up here, leaving here on Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that. Heading to Suan Mok. Let's I'll just kind of write it here in chat before we get started. I think that's how you spell it, although with capital letters, of course. Suan Mok is the monastery where I'll be staying for the next, starting on Tuesday, 11 days. Are you ready to get into practice? Yeah, I agree with John. It is a bit claustrophobic. So, and I have had some claustrophobia issues when I was younger. But I don't know. I think I have dreams. Sometimes that's one of my nightmares, right? I have like claustrophobic nightmares where I have to squeeze through some really tiny hole for a long time. But But yeah, I don't know. It still somehow feels peaceful these days. All right, let's get into it. So whether you're ready or not, we're going to start our longer open awareness practice. So find your comfortable seated posture. And I'm just going to I commentate on my own experience. It just feels like coming home. When I get into my meditation posture, there's something, I don't even have to try. There's a natural peace. My body kind of knows where I am and what's going on. So knees lower than the hips if you can. So if you're sitting on a chair, I would encourage you to move towards the end of the chair, sit on the edge of the chair so that you're away from the backrest. If I'm sitting on a chair, I know sometimes the instructions are put your feet flat on the floor, but I will sometimes cross my feet at the ankles. If you have a meditation cushion, I would encourage you to sit on the edge of that cushion. Sitting cross-legged, your knees should naturally fall slightly below your hips. Allow this curvature in your lumbar spine to form, similar to what it's like when we're standing. Chest is slightly open, but without needing to engage the muscles between the shoulder blades. So just the idea is not to be hunching forward, to be sitting up straight and tall. Chin parallel to the floor. Crown of the head towards the ceiling. You can make some movements if you like, if that's going to aid you before we get started, kind of moving the head around, moving the shoulders around, twisting to the left and the right. Help loosen up the body, prepare it for this longer sit that we're going to do. And so together, let's take 3 deep breaths to help open up the chest, the abdomen. See if we can also add a little bit of relaxation, prepare the body in this way. So after your next exhale, let's begin inhaling. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then now letting the breath return to normal, natural. Allow the body to breathe. The wisdom of the body to breathe as it needs to by itself without your intervention or involvement. And you're just going along for the ride. You're in the passenger seat. Your body is the one in the driver's seat. Observing the supporting surface, touching your buttocks, touching your legs, touching your feet. Feeling those points of contact, tuning in to the sensation of pressure. What is pressure like? What is the sense of touch like? Can you feel the texture of what's touching your skin? If it's your clothing, can you feel the texture of your clothing? If it's your bare leg or bare foot, can you feel the texture of what it is you're touching? Can you feel the temperature of what you're touching? Now beginning to open awareness to the body as a whole. Opening to the sense of touch. Can you feel your clothing on your body? The feeling of where your shirt is in contact with the skin. How about your undergarments? Can you feel where they are touching your skin? And can you feel where they end and your shirt or your shorts or your pants or whatever it is you're wearing begins? Can you feel these boundaries? So can we take that awareness knob and just crank it all the way up to 10 or even 11? The skin that's exposed, that's not touching any clothing. Can you be aware of that? Do you feel perspiration? Any tingling? Any itching? Is it warm or cool? Is the air in your room moving at all? Can you feel that subtle breeze, that subtle movement of air on the exposed skin? Can you feel the contact of your clothing changing at the abdomen as you breathe? As the belly expands, the shirt becomes a bit tighter, or maybe it brushes gently against the skin. As you breathe out, loosens, maybe hangs slightly. You can feel it with your skin. And now beginning to examine the muscles as well. Muscles of the face. Do you feel any tension in the face? Do you feel tension in the shoulders, or the back, or the abdomen, or anywhere in the body? Just examining the body, inside and out. Noticing physical contact, movement of breath, state of the muscles. As we open awareness to our bodies as a whole. Noticing what's in the center, what's in the forefront of awareness now. And then maybe something else comes up. Maybe this new sensation is what holds our attention. And so if you're having trouble determining what is in the forefront of awareness, one thing that can be helpful is choosing an anchor point. So as we went through the body just now, one area of the body feeling easy to tune into, feeling perhaps calming as you tune into it. Often this is the sensation of the buttocks on the supporting surface, that pressure, or sensation of breathing. And for me, the most grounding of sensation of breath is breath of the abdomen. And so you can choose any anchor point that is useful for you. The one that I typically choose is movement of the abdomen with the breath. So a loud physical sensation, one shows up in the forefront of awareness. And then we return our attention to the anchor. Pause and see what comes up next. Sensation on the shoulder, an itch on my right shoulder. And then returning attention to the breath. And then opening awareness, what comes up next? Sensation in the left palm. So continue on your own for a while. And so keep practicing open awareness. As I talk through the movement instructions, if you feel some strong sensation of discomfort, your two options are: one, to observe it, examine it, understand it. What is this sensation that I experience? And if that intense sensation doesn't go away by itself, you can choose to move mindfully, strategizing piece by piece how I'm going to move, what is the new position I want to end up in, and then slowly executing. Part by part, intentionally moving the body until we arrive at the new position. How does the new position feel? Did it give me the relief that I expected? How long does that relief last? The second option is to observe. Just like difficult emotions, sometimes difficult physical sensations show up. And in our real lives, sometimes along with those difficult emotions and difficult physical sensations, there's nothing we can do. So using it as a time to practice, observing that challenging physical sensation with curiosity, rolling out the red carpet to it, welcoming. Welcome challenging physical sensation. What are you like? Sometimes that sensation subsides by itself. Sometimes it gets louder and louder. And then we maybe want to move back to strategy 1. So figuring out what you want to do when you come across that challenging sensation. So spend a few more breaths, aware of the body as a whole. And now let me encourage you to shift your attention to sounds. So awareness of body always kind of sticks in the background. You can continue to have your physical anchor, your seat, your breath, whatever it was, as we move to sounds. So what is it that you hear in your soundscape? Noticing the present moment nature of sound. Sound is here for a moment and then it's gone. Sound of the fan in your room. The sound of the traffic outside. Even the sound of my voice becomes yet another sound in your soundscape. Being open to what's ever here. Pleasant, unpleasant sounds. Do the sounds at all stoke physical sensations in the body? And so now letting go of sounds as we move into the realm of thoughts. So seeing what's in the forefront of awareness of thoughts. So not trying to think about anything, just relaxing the mind, seeing where the mind goes. And interestingly, a lot of times when we do this practice and we shine our spotlight of awareness on thoughts, it's like the cockroaches in the kitchen run away from the light and suddenly there are no thoughts there whatsoever. What's that experience like if that's your experience? Or maybe memories come up. Memories of something recent that happened. Or maybe things about the future are showing up. Just knowing that like sounds, like physical sensations, thoughts show up for a time. And as long as we don't engage, as long as we don't follow the thought train or get swept down the thought stream, they're a present moment experience, just like anything else. And they dissipate through awareness. And our brains are great simulation machines. So even the thought of something can make it seem very real. But just for a moment, with awareness of body, awareness of thoughts, awareness of sounds, imagine the sound of a dish shattering. What do you feel in your body? There was no sound, just the imagination of the sound. What happens? Is there any shift? Where do you feel the shift? And so now letting go of that imagination, focusing on your own thoughts. Where is it that your mind is taking you right now? And now let us bring all of those elements together. So thoughts, including accompanying emotions. So as well, can you see what emotions form with thoughts? Can you feel the physical sensations that come with those emotions? So thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, sounds, smells, tastes. Even if the eyes are closed, you can also notice where there are changes in light, where areas are brighter, where areas are darker. So opening your awareness to your entire experience. And by the way, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting here. How vast is this experience of being aware to everything going on in your present moment experience? So let's spend the remainder of our practice in silence, or at least silence from me, so that you can observe what's coming in, through the ears, through the skin, through the mind. What do you experience right now? And remember, you can always recenter yourself by coming back to that anchor established in the beginning. Maybe that's the breath at the abdomen. Maybe that's the sensation of sitting on your chair or cushion. Just remembering that no matter how vast, how much is coming in your present moment experience, you can always let go and come back to that anchor to settle down for a moment. So our time of silence begins now. taking a moment to see where we are now. Where is the mind? Having a little evaluation of what's been going on in the last 10 minutes. Letting go of that. Letting go of thoughts. Letting go of sounds. Letting go of awareness of the body as we return our awareness to that anchor point. So let's spend 5 more breaths together, focused on that anchor. And then we'll draw our practice to its close. And now I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. So feel free to begin transitioning out of that period of meditation any way you like. So it's going to be, maybe moving the legs a bit, stretching out if you like. And so as I'm stretching out, how'd it go? How was your practice today? What was it like? Did you find any part harder than another? How did those 11 minutes of silence feel? What was going on? Where was your attention during that time? So I'm going to continue stretching out a little bit as I wait for some chat to arrive in the chat. So this is a good practice, as I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting meditation coming Tuesday. So if you do happen to check out Sawan Mok's website, you can see what the retreat details are like. So what I'll be doing every day. The schedule, of course, is the same. Same for for 10 days. It's similar. So it's like day 1's a registration. You go to sleep. Day 11, day 0 is a registration. Day 11 is the day that we depart. So anyway, gotta get used to it. So far in all of my retreats, there's physical pain, right? Like sitting for several hours each day on the floor with no backrest it can be a little bit painful. So, looking forward to having that time to drop deeply into my practice, but at the same time, it's like anything, right? It's kind of like do you really look forward to going to the gym when you haven't been, and or it's like, do you look forward to running a marathon when you've been running running a mile a day for the last 6 months? So that's kind of how I feel. I'm about to go run a marathon, and ready or not, here it comes. I suppose that if you're not ready for a marathon and you're running it, at the end you can walk. You don't have to run the whole way. So you can crawl if you need to crawl. So we'll see how it goes. Fortunately, I do have experience as a practitioner, and I'm not coming in blind. But at the same time, I'm aware that my body is not not used to sitting for hours a day. So this might be a difficult transition. All right. Jean says awareness of emotions became prominent during the silence. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And gratitude for this practice. Thanks, Jean. Barbara shares fairly quiet external environment today for me. No air traffic noise, a little neighborhood noise, but lots of internal thought noise. Thanks, Barbara, for sharing. All right, well, I don't have much more to say. I think someone had asked questions about what's Singapore like a few days ago, and so far nothing bad to say. Singapore, when it comes to like places to live, it's at this point hard to say much bad about this place. It's a good, it's very diverse. Seems very accepting. English is the main language here, so that's a bonus. Convenient. Hot all the time. I suppose maybe that's something that, if we're looking to complain about something, maybe that's it. A series on humility. Yeah, that is a good one for sure. Humility's important for sure, for a lot of different reasons. Yeah, I'll write that down. Thanks, Barbara, for the recommendation or for the suggestion. I'll have that as something coming up. We get humility. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter what realm you're in. It's I guess I don't want to say too much, because then I'll take away from the material that I have for the series on humility. But anyway, thanks for that suggestion. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start Saturday. So to my surprise, I heard some noise in the background, so it looks like somebody in my home is up at 6:08 in the morning. So I guess maybe getting ready for, I don't know, Saturday morning. Why are we up? Like, who's up at so early on Saturday besides me? Foundational, right? Yes, humility is foundational. Sure. I was revisiting the 5 Myths of Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff, that I'm going to be, hopefully before I go to the retreat, I think all I need to do is record a beginning and an end to that. I've done all the editing, and so I'm planning to publish that. And so that also is, I think also is really foundational, that self-compassion. And I guess the reason I bring it up is because self-esteem is kind of the opposite in a way, is a significantly less effective strategy from self-compassion, and I find that self-esteem and humility do not go hand in hand. So that's something I think that's really interesting with humility, just kind of that relationship between humility and self-compassion. That humility is strength, right? It takes a strong person to be humble, which I think is so interesting, because that to a lot of people that's counterintuitive. Like, how can I be strong and humble simultaneously? No, to be humble, you must have some strength already. Otherwise, we put up this false scaffolding of to hold our ego in place when we lack strength. That's a lot of arrogance comes out of lack of self-confidence. Thanks. Let's see, Gene says, I saw something on PBS that featured Singapore and how much infrastructure includes putting back natural space. Yeah, and it is really amazing. I have to say, I love how much intention there is in building park spaces and like greenery on buildings. It's really, the nickname is the Garden City, Singapore, the Garden City. And it is, and it's a lovely place. Although I suppose here, what you see behind me, it's a lot of buildings, but I suppose in the dark spaces is where the greenery is. So you can see some lights like here and back here. What is that? I don't know. Anyway. Mark shares, I appreciated the different aspects of today's session. It was useful to move between them and then bring myself back into one. Thanks, Mark, for sharing. And this is an interesting practice, and feel free to, I do have a open awareness track that you can try. It's 45 minutes, quite similar in the structure as to how we did it, less silence at the end. But if you'd want to try this again, use that. It's a free track on Insight Timer. Thank you, Gene. I also hope I get what I need from the retreat, which may or may not be pleasant. Okay. Let's close practice the way that we do. And then I'll see you on Tuesday. I scheduled an event about silence. So before I go into silence, we'll do one last meditation together, and then I'll be back 2 weeks later. So feel free to join that one on Tuesday. Join Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle. Listen to my premium tracks. Follow me on Insight Timer if you don't already. Support me in whatever way you can if you found today's practice useful. Let's close practice. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone here who's watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all human beings, near and far, at peace or at war, good or bad, hungry or fulfilled, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the Rolling Stones quote at the end. See you next time. Bye-bye.